So we got Pace, Michael.
Yep.
On the
Michael.
podcast.
Yeah, Michael used to be my middle name. My last name, my family last name's Head.
Oh,
so I
okay.
dropped my last name. It's something that I wanted to do, like when I was super young, like teenage years. I had told my grandparents about it and told my parents about it. My grandparents thought I was like telling the truth. My parents didn't think I was telling the truth. And then right before I got married, I was like, well, now's the time to do it. So yeah, Pace Michael Head. Now I'm just Pace Michael.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay.
Why'd you want to drop it?
Kids are assholes, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's just that simple. It's like you got kids, right?
Yeah.
So if you knew your kids were going to get born, like were born with green hair and you could change that so that they weren't going to be fucked with, would you?
Yeah.
That's literally the only reason. Like everybody that knows me from Ogden knows me as Pace Head. That's never going to change.
So they just made jokes. People made
kids are just dickheads. So just trying to alleviate that in case I ever have kids, which who knows?
I got that.
And that's literally the only reason.
Just because of what your last name was, nothing to do with your family?
No, nothing to do with my family whatsoever. I mean, that's kind of been a shit show with my family. Like I got family members that don't talk to me now because of it, but that's their shit. That ain't my shit. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Well, yeah, let's jump into that then too, as well. Like,
okay,
family,
for sure.
Because I know, like, we've talked a little bit about like how you grew up, but not much. So we kind of wanted to save it for the podcast. So I kind of just want you to tell your story of like how you grew up and just your story, man.
I definitely grew up, I think, different than most people, especially in this state. And that's not like slamming anyone. It's just different, you know. Ogden's just a different neighborhood. There's good and bad everywhere you're at, but Ogden in itself, I think, is just a little bit different. And then with two older brothers, you know, being the younger sibling, whatever the older brothers were doing, I was doing.
Sure.
So probably, well, to start off, like I've got two older brothers. One's 2 years older than me. The other one's 7 years older than me. The one that was 7 years older than me, he molested me and my other older brother for probably 3 or 4 years. So I was probably like from 6 to 9 or 10.
Okay.
He was molesting me and also my other older brother. So like that just kind of has carried with me for the past, 30 years now. Sure. But Ogden in itself and growing up there with them, there was just a lot of drugs, a lot of crime. And I was exposed to all that at 9, 10, 11 years old. So at 10 years old, I'm smoking cigarettes daily. At 10 years old, I'm getting high daily. I didn't really like drinking. Drinking wasn't my thing. So all my friends would drink and I would get high. And then even at the age of 16 and whatnot, they'd all be drunk all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They're 17, 18, 19, 20 year olds being drunk all the time. And I'd get high and drive them around. Just a daily stoner, at 12, 13, 14 years old, going to junior high, higher than fuck, that's just what I did. That's what I knew. That was my world.
And where were your parents at this point?
So I lived with my dad. My parents have been divorced my whole life. My dad got custody of us. I think I was about 6. It was around that same age. I was 6, second grade, first grade. So my dad had us, but my dad was an alcoholic. I think it was easier for him to just say out of sight, out of mind. He had other shit he would rather be doing, which, that's fine. Whatever. That's his life. Right. So he really just wanted us out of his hair. So we were always gone on the streets being fuckheads, doing shit we shouldn't have been doing. And again, if my older brothers were doing it, if I'm 10, they're 12 and 17.
Of course.
Whatever the fuck they're doing,
right.
I'm doing. I'm the little shithead doing the same thing. So, it's not that they weren't involved, but again, for my dad, it was out of sight, out of mind. And then my mom only got us every other weekend. And it was a very different scenario with her. She was a very good parent, but at the same time, she had 3 boys. She had to work 3 jobs. She couldn't always give us a lot of time. So, and that's where the molestation come into play, because she's turning us over to my oldest brother to kind of babysit us.
Because she doesn't have another choice.
Right. And that's when he's taking advantage of me and my other older brother. That's just kind of when all that happened.
Sure.
So how old were you when that started?
About 6 or 7, I think. It's hard for me to remember.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll be real and I'll be straight up with you. I remember his penis in my mouth. I remember the taste of semen. Like it's this shit doesn't leave you.
Yeah.
You know, like it's something you'll never forget.
Yeah, because we kind of talked about like trauma last episode and like how it stays in our body. And we both, like, I haven't had trauma, you know, not to that extent. And like Chase's dad died, so he's had trauma with that, and like a divorce and other things. But this is like almost like a whole new level of trauma. Yeah. Especially when you're little, you know.
And when you're little, you don't even know it, right? Yeah. Like it's still a sexual enjoyment, which is also part of the mental shit right now that I get to deal with, right? Because as a kid, it's still sexual pleasure. It's still pleasure. You don't know necessarily that it's right or wrong. And as it's presented to you by a manipulative fuck, it's a game, right? It's especially not wrong.
Especially at a time where your mind is still programming
right.
itself.
Yeah.
And especially if it's a loved one.
Yeah, sure.
Because they're not really hurting you. In fact, they're giving you pleasure, right? And it's become a game. It's just it's a fucking hard subject.
Yeah.
I'm good talking about it, but it's hard to like emotionally process because it's just fucking weird, man.
So was your brother molested then? Is that why he was kind of doing that to you and your other brother? Or?
I've never found that out. Okay. I think he tried claiming at one point that, so he and I had different fathers. I think he tried claiming at one point that my father molested him. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't believe it personally. I don't think my dad had that in him at all. Yeah, I could be wrong. Fuck, I don't know.
Good chance he probably would have known about that.
I think so. And I would, I don't know.
And is your brother gay at all? Or
no. He's got like 5 or 6 kids, none of which he.
So there's most likely something that happened to him.
Yeah, I'm sure he's had his own traumas and shit. I also think a lot of it was jealousy because he didn't know who his father was. So then my mom gets with my dad and has 2 more kids. I think the oldest brother was jealous of the kids that had mom and dad.
Yeah.
Because he was a fuckbag. Like, he was a pile of shit.
Well, so did you ever present this to like your parents? Like, hey, this is what's going on? Or was it like...
No, it was just normal at the time.
Yeah. At the time it was normal. I think once I came to I put it all together and I wasn't no longer okay with it. I was probably 16 or 17. And I had started kind of like pulling back from my relationship with my mom. Like me and my mom were really tight. And then I think I just started to separate a little bit because she started turning into a different person. But I had never talked to my dad about it. My dad was pretty intimidating, 6'8", big dude. And again, always drunk. You never knew what dad you were going to get for the day, whether he was going to be polite or he was going to scream down your fucking throat for not taking out the trash. Like you just didn't know who you were getting, you know? Sure. So no, I never talked to my dad about it. When my other older brother, Paul, was in prison, I think I was 25-ish. He told my mom everything that had happened. So up until that point, my mom didn't know anything.
So your brother, Paul, was the one closest to you in age?
Correct.
And both of you guys had similar experiences?
Yes.
Yeah. And have you talked to him about it?
I have. Him and I have talked.
Trying to figure out how to move past it or...
Yeah, that's been a rough one because him and I would talk about it kind of growing up and he would kind of like sweep it under the rug. And then at one point he even denied it to me. Like, no, that shit never happened. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, I really wanted to fight my brother in that moment. Like, I know that if I can remember it, you can remember it. You're older than I am. I know you remember it. Like, we're talking years, several.
So he probably just tried to block it out.
I think so.
And deny it.
And I was fine with that. But at the same time, I was super angry. Like, I really got...
Yeah, because then you feel more alone.
Yeah, like, how are you trying to strip that validation of it, you know? Mm-hmm. But since then, we've talked about it, you know, and it's just something that I think he's got a lot of similar feelings like I do. But I also think him being in prison, he's been able to process it a lot more. He's had a lot more alone time than I have. So
what did he go to prison for?
Drugs.
Yeah. So you each kind of dealt with it in different ways or in similar ways?
Well, I do feel like we were all headed down the same path. The only difference was I had 2 older brothers to look at and to see the path maybe a little bit more clear based off of their choices, knowing that if I made those same choices, I was going to follow that same path. So at a certain point, I think I just made the realization that I do feel that both of them could have made, that I can't continue to go down this path. I have to do something to find a new path.
Do you remember what that point was?
Yeah, actually I do. It was one of the last times I was in front of the judge. I was probably 19 or 20. By this point, I had a 4-page rap sheet, like, and the judge is threatening me with jail time. So he was scaring me, and it worked. And at that same time, I had met a girl. This girl was amazing. Probably one of the coolest chicks I've ever met in my life. And that's lame to say at, 18, 19, 20 years old, but she was just rad. And she would have, going down the path I was going down, she wouldn't have had anything to fucking do with it.
Sure.
So I completely shifted and like tried to become a man at that point, because I felt like I needed to be someone else to even have this girl be attracted to me or to even stand a chance with her. So I think it was a culmination of things.
Okay. And then what did you change at that point? Because obviously it's really easy for a lot of people to be going down one path and then like have a day where they're like, fuck, I got to change directions. But changing directions is a different story for a lot of people.
Yes.
Actually doing it, right?
Right. I think it's as simple as I say as simple. I don't think it's easy, but I do think it's as simple as changing your surroundings, changing the people that you're willing to associate with on a daily basis. And what that meant was kind of flaking out on all my friends and not hanging out with them anymore, and basically consuming all my time with her or
so
with
you
work.
just disconnected from the people that were
right. I knew that
good influence.
Yeah, I wasn't surrounded by good influence, and I knew that just had to change. There was no other answer. It was, if I keep hanging out with these people, which were drug dealers, drug addicts, alcoholics, criminals, right. That's who my social circle was. I knew where that was going to take me.
This was after you graduated high school.
I didn't graduate high school, but yes, it was. It was after that time.
19 or so.
Yeah, 19, 20.
So you dropped out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My dad kicked me out when I was 17. He and I got into a confrontation. He called the cops on me. Told them I had a knife to his neck. That's what he told them. And then when the cops showed up, they're asking me for a knife, and I'm like, I don't have a knife for one. And how is my dad going to call you if I have a knife to his neck? Like, will you guys like think about this? Like, what? So anyway, they took me to juvenile detention until my mom could come get me, which was the next day. So that was a fun night. That was a fun experience.
So you still have like a relationship with your mom and dad, or no?
With my dad, it's been on and off. From that point on, I didn't talk to him for like 7 years. And then his dad, my grandpa, died, and that kind of rekindled some communications. So then he and I started to have a relationship, but my dad's never not been an addict. He's kind of put down alcohol here and there, but he's picked up pills along the way. Like, my dad takes handfuls of pills every day, and then now he'll drink on top of it. Like, he literally drove into the Home Depot down on 12th Street and almost killed people. My dad's he's just an addict. And so I've disconnected from him. I've asked him not to contact me anymore. My mom, I don't talk to too often. She's kind of become a freeloader. It hurts me to say that, because my mom was super strong and super independent, but she's no longer that woman. So I've never looked at my family members as like maybe family, I guess, in a way. I've just looked at them as people. And if you're toxic, I can't be around you.
Which is kind of the way I see things now too. Like, I used to think that family means you have to have some sort of special connection or some sort of special tie. And I just don't believe that anymore. I think if your family's not helping you progress and move forward and more closely align your life with what you want, then they can get the fuck out.
Absolutely. 100%. I completely agree with that. And I've never agreed with that statement. That's your family. Well, I don't give a fuck.
There's no attachments to things that are holding me back.
You've treated me better than my oldest brother has. You know what I mean? Like, that's family to me.
Absolutely.
Not because somebody has the same parent I do. Right. Like, fuck you, man. You've caused me more pain than anybody else. You're not my family.
I agree.
You're a fucking pile of dog shit. Get the fuck out of here.
So 19 or 20, what happens with the girl?
She goes to the Air Force, and she's still in the Air Force. I mean, she went when she was 18 years old. She left. When I met her, she had told me, like, the very first day, like, hey, bro, I'm going to the Air Force in X amount of months. Do you still want to hang out? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So we rode that ride, and she went to the Air Force, and she's been in ever since. She's got a life, and I'm super happy for her.
She served her purpose for you.
Yeah, which is great. She's married, got a kid, living her own life. It's been, cool. And we're still in contact now, and it's cool, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
like it's speaking of like relationships with family, like I believe that with any relationship, I don't know that there's any relationship that's meant to last forever. I think even relationships, even with family that last a lifetime are rare. But yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. If she corrected your path a little bit, then she served her purpose, and
she definitely played a huge part in life and to put me on a different path.
So what happened after that?
So after she left, started dating another girl. Her name was Amy. I was with her for 3 or 4 years. We ended up, she had plans to like go on to college. Her family was in chiropractic. Okay. So her plan was to also get into chiropractic. So being around someone that also had like a goal was great for me. I wasn't used to being around that. Like I was used to being around the goals of the people I was around was, okay, how soon can I buy another bag of weed? Or how much weed can I sell today? Or how many beers can I drink today? You know what I mean? That was the goals of the people I was around, not how do I become an adult and do something with my life. So that was another really good relationship for me. So she needed to go to college. I needed to go to college. We picked up, moved to Sacramento, lived in Sacramento for 3 years. I went through college, got that done, and then bounced down to LA, which was where her schooling was. She got started on her schooling. She had been going through doing her generals and everything in the meantime while we were up in Sacramento. But the chiropractic school was down in LA. So we got down there. That lasted for me a couple months. I absolutely hated it and needed to come home, came home. And then just started working in as a welder from then on. That's kind of where everything began for me as my career, I guess. And at that point, I was 27. So went to college at 24, back home by 27 to start being a welder at $11 an hour. Yes.
What made you want to start welding?
To be honest with you, dude, like I had interest in it growing up. But then I really kind of fell into the stature of Jesse James. As lame and cliche as that sounded, when I saw that dude, I was like, that's a fucking dude right there. Mm-hmm. You know, like he carries himself like a dude. He talks like a dude. He builds cool shit. Like, I don't know if you call it like idolized him. I looked at him like a figure. Like I would like to be looked at the way I look at this dude, you know? Yeah. Do I think he's a fuckbag? Yeah, absolutely. I do. Like everybody's got their own shit. But when I looked at him in like a professional light, I was like, this dude's got it made. He gets to play with the shit he wants to play, build awesome shit, make tons of money. So I chased that dream.
Okay.
So.
And from then on, you've just been.
From then on, it's literally just been different welding applications, you know, different metals and just trying to accumulate those skills. The thing with Jesse James wasn't necessarily, I want to go build motorcycles. It was, I want to learn how to be a fabricator. I always wanted to learn
shit.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily just want to build cars or motorcycles. I wanted to learn metal. And once I got my hands on it and I started seeing all the different applications of it, from custom lighting to furniture to you name it, you know, like I just was so drawn to that artistically. That was like my artistic outlet, and I've never experienced that feeling until those moments. And I've just gravitated towards it ever since.
Were you like an artist before that in your life? Did you ever draw or anything?
No, everything that I attempted to do artistically, from music or drawing or, you know, I was no good at.
Really?
And I had tried. I just was no good at it. Huh. So it was like I found something that I don't know.
Something that you liked enough to be creative.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really all creativity takes, is it just takes an interest. Mm-hmm. You have to be interested.
Passion, right?
Yeah, you have to be, because it's not, most people aren't born with certain skills. They're born with certain desires, right? So people like different things. So something that someone likes, most likely they're going to be better at it, just because they're more focused on it.
Yeah. Nobody's going to want to go work at the front desk at 7-Eleven.
Right.
And they're not going to be good at it because they don't give a shit about it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So the things that you like are usually the things that you end up getting good at. And so you found that in metal.
Yes.
Huh. So going backwards, because I didn't know really much of this story. I mean, you told me you had a hard childhood, but like, as far as like mentally, emotionally, what have you done to like cope with the things that you went through?
Drugs. I did a lot of drugs probably up until I shouldn't say drugs because that makes me sound like a coke addict or a meth head or something. Like I've never done coke, I've never done meth, but I was always not sober, whether that was being a daily stoner or taking mushrooms or acid. I wasn't social. I would isolate myself quite a bit. That didn't really come till later in life, and I don't really think I'm still very social.
Are you social now?
Nah, probably
kind of
not.
like me. Like,
yeah, I'm more
like
introverted for sure.
Alone.
Yeah, I don't gain anything from the monotony of the random, boring fucking conversation.
Yeah,
you know, like I'd rather not have it.
Unless it's like a real meaningful conversation.
Or it's got depth to it, you know, shit like you and I have talked about. Like I enjoy that, and I'd have that consistently if I could.
Which is I'm the same.
That's just not normal.
I'm not super interested in small talk.
Nah, I don't give a fuck.
If I'm having small talk, I just want to be by myself.
Exactly.
I really enjoy.
I just want the conversation to end so I can fucking do my own thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you get it. I know you get it. we're like-minded in that way for sure.
For sure. So, okay, besides drugs, because obviously did drugs help you in certain ways to
disconnect, you know, or, I mean, when you're high, you know how it is when you get high, dude, like it just, it's calming. It allows you to disconnect in a way. Okay. And that's probably all I was trying to do was just disconnect. I didn't really know my place. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know right from wrong, really. All I knew was my environment. And at that time, my environment was fucking chaotic, but that's literally how I grew up. I grew up in chaos. You know, I remember guns in my face. I remember people shooting at other people. I remember lots and lots of drugs.
Yeah.
You know, I remember a lot of shit, you know, people overdosed fucking laying on a carpet. I remember some shit, just different, especially in the state. I don't think it's super common, the shit that I saw at such a young age.
Yeah. Ogden is definitely different.
Yeah.
It's definitely a very unique city in Utah.
Yeah, for sure.
So
no, we don't even go that far north, man. We go
I don't even know Ogden. We don't go there.
That's about it, man.
Yeah, Layton's the ghetto for us.
Yeah,
I love Ogden, man. That's where I feel at home. But, you know.
So when did you start getting the tats then?
I was 16, and that also helped too. Like it helped me find a new addiction.
Okay,
you know, it helped me redirect some energy. I started getting tattooed at 16, and obviously I've never stopped. So
you got the sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
You got the chest. You got
my chest is done. My guts are somewhat done. Yeah, my neck's all blasted. The back of my head's almost done. My back's fully done. My entire right leg's done from top of my foot to my hip. Yeah, I still got some space left.
Is tattooing some type of like therapy for people?
I think so.
You like sitting in the chair?
I do, but I view it as if I can kick my own ass or allow myself to kick my own ass harder than I'll allow anybody else to kick my ass. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's funny to me because, like, dude, I fucking hate sitting in that chair. That to me.
I don't enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I don't enjoy it. But you know how, like, you like to go sit in the ice bath?
Yeah.
It's the same
I understand that. So it's a mindset for you, but, like, for some reason, like, I have no problem getting in the ice bath.
Yeah.
You don't want to fucking get in the ice bath.
Fuck no, I don't. I hate the cold.
Dude, I tried as hard as I could getting in that mindset when I was sitting in that chair, and I'm just like, I just don't ever want to do this again. Like, after my sleeve's done, I don't ever want to do this again. And that was my thought process the whole time. I tried my hardest to get to the point where I was like, be okay with the discomfort, you know, try and embrace it a little bit. Cause you know, you talk to people that say that, and it seems like you can get yourself to that mindset, and I just couldn't do it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I tell myself the same thing every time I'm getting tattooed. I say the same thing that you're saying right now. Why the fuck am I sitting here? This is garbage. I hate this. And people are like, use the numbing cream and do all that shit. And I'm like, no, that's not the point of it. Like, I need to kick my own ass.
Work?
I don't know, dude.
I've got an appointment next month.
I never tried it, you know, but it's fuck. Give it a week or two, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get tattooed again.
Really?
Like, yeah, I need to make sure for myself. I need to make sure that I'm all right.
When was the last time you got tattooed?
When Vili was doing the back of my head, maybe a month ago, month and a half ago.
Cool.
So
you grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Who was Catholic? Your mom or your dad?
My stepmom. So when my dad met my stepmom, my dad was Lutheran. He got with my stepmom, and I don't know that my stepmom necessarily forced him to do it, or if it was a choice he made on his own. I don't know that, but he converted to Catholicism to be with my stepmom.
How do you convert?
You're asking the wrong guy, dude.
You don't know.
I mean, when it all happened for me, I was 6, 7 years old.
So I
just grew up in it.
So you just grew up in it, but do you know anything about it? Or
Catholicism?
Was it just, I'm Catholic?
They put us through like the catechism schools and everything. But again, at that time, I didn't give a shit about it. I did it because it was like, hey, you guys are Catholic now. This is what you have to do. And it was like, oh, great. More fucking school. You know, I got to go to a school for fucking religion. Fuck, why? Like, and I was always in trouble in there. Like, I didn't do what I was supposed to.
Sure.
So I didn't like participate, or I wasn't invested. I didn't believe. I did it because it was like, well, this is what I have to do because my dad tells me I have to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
I was too young to really know. So I did what I had to do so that I was, and it was the same way with regular school. I got really good grades in school, but at the same time, I'm literally like smoking weed and dropping acid on the weekends at fucking 10, 11 years old, getting straight A's in junior high.
Really?
Because I was terrified of my father.
That's crazy.
I mean, straight A's.
And was your dad one of those guys that like he would?
If my grades were good, I never got questioned for anything. I was a saint. I was a golden child.
And he knew that you guys were doing drugs? Or no. So you guys hid that from him?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. So what do your beliefs look like now?
I don't believe, and I didn't then. Like, I've never had a belief in God or necessarily a higher power. I never have. Nobody's ever spoke to me. Sure. People are like, oh, God spoke to me. And this sounds rude, but I'm like, well, you're fucking lying.
Crazy.
Yeah, you're nuts. Like, that's bullshit. Do you want to go check into a mental hospital? Like, who's talking to you when you, like, what?
So
I don't know. That's just my belief.
So what do you think happens when we die?
Worm food. Like, we recycle.
You think that nothing exists as far as like you think your consciousness just basically ends?
No, I don't necessarily believe that. I don't know that I would call it anything to do with religion. Do I think there's something after life, or there could be something for our souls and all of that shit? And like you said, your consciousness after life. Yeah, I do. I think that's why there's like ghost stories and shit, and people see that shit. I feel like the energy or something's still there. You know, we can still exist somehow, but in a religious mindset of it, I don't have any association to that at all.
Well, do you know what the definition of religion is? It's just basically one's personal relationship with God. So whatever you want to call God is up to you, right? I mean, I think we get so caught up in this like fuck religion, but I'm spiritual. But we're talking really always about the same thing. It's your relationship to your beliefs, whatever your beliefs are. So
right, but yours are different in the sense, well, I'm assuming, because you believe in a God, right?
Kind of.
Okay. I don't believe that there is a God, a person, a being. I don't believe that.
I don't really either.
Okay.
I believe it's more of just what I believe is that basically God is just consciousness, and it's basically just a sea of energy that's aware of itself that has replicated itself throughout the universe to experience, meaning that we are each just like a pixel of God. That's what I believe. And so that's why I believe that pixel, that
God is a thing. It's not a person.
God is only just an I am. It knows that it exists. Like, you know that you exist, right? And I believe that's the only part of you that won't ever go away. Like, your body will die, and along with that, your personality, all your programming, all your traumas, all your relationships, all of that. And you'll be connected back into basically that sea of consciousness that is just aware of itself.
Okay.
That's what I believe God is.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah. So it's like, but that's just like, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
It's just, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. And that's
right.
totally
that's
cool.
The thing is, nobody knows, right? We all want to say, we know, but
no, but maybe nobody's right and nobody's wrong.
Yeah. Well, maybe whatever you believe is right.
Yes. Maybe that's how the universe works, that your soul will go where you think it's going to go.
Whatever you manifest.
Yeah, because if we believe that we're creators, maybe your beliefs now are creating what will happen to you after you die.
Yeah.
You know, like if your consciousness believes that you're just energy, then in the next life, that's what you'll perceive. That will be your reality. Or maybe if you're Mormon and you believe that you're going to have a human body that's going to be resurrected and perfect, and you're going to live on this glass planet, then that's what happens, because you manifest it and we create it. Because that's going back to God is, in my opinion, that I am, that consciousness that's aware of itself, creates whatever it wants. Because nothing really actually exists unless we create it, in my opinion. Somebody had to create this. Something, some energy, some power. I don't think it created itself out of nothing. But I also...
You don't believe in the science of things, like things just evolving and being created out of atoms and evolution? And
where did atoms come from?
The Big Bang Theory. I don't know.
Where did the Big Bang Theory come from?
I hear what you're saying, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know, when you look at the science of it, to me, there's never you think God did a Big Bang?
I think God and science are the same thing.
Okay.
And I think we'll eventually learn that, even as humans. But I don't fucking know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, that's... Yeah.
I think you see God as like, it has to be this thing that religion has painted for you.
No,
it doesn't have to.
I see that's what society sees. It's not that I don't see that. I've never seen God as this like being, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Cause I don't
that's what it's projected
really believe
as,
that
right?
either,
Yeah.
But you're still Mormon. You believe God looks like a human. Yes.
Yeah. But
and that could be true too.
Yeah. I'm also open to me being wrong.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you have to be. You have to be.
So,
I agree with what you said, though. Like, I think for each individual person, it could be whatever you choose to believe, and who knows that's going to be wrong when you die.
I kind of think that's how the universe works, anyway.
Yeah,
I think
we all might be right, or we all might be wrong.
Exactly.
That's how this life works. You make your own destiny in this life.
Well, you live in your own reality.
How is that different? Why is
for
it
your
afterlife?
That's a very good way to look at it, actually. I never looked at it that way. Your life is what you create. Why can't your afterlife be the same?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's heavy. Cool.
So in that aspect, if that's true, then we are God, because we're creating our own.
We are our own God.
Yeah. If you're
I'm
usually
all
when
for
you're
that.
talking about
Fuck yeah.
God, you're talking about how things are created, right?
Yeah. You're gonna create your own world, dude, with metal.
Absolutely.
A shit ton of metal and a lot of tattoos.
We got it. We'll get it done.
That's awesome, bro.
Okay, so now you've been through a lot of shit. You're now 38.
Yep. 30 years old.
What now? Now what are you chasing? Because you're now kind of shifting. I'm seeing you shift from, like, you've kind of been an employee
so
your whole life, and now you've
we all know, right?
had quite a bit of success that you and I have talked about. Done pretty well for yourself, and now you've provided yourself a window to transition your life a little bit. So now what's?
I think we all get that society and that schooling program, right? You're supposed to do these things, and at some point, some people just naturally have it that they know that doesn't have to be the way. I'm just now figuring out that I can be comfortable in the uncomfortable, knowing that doesn't have to be the way. The standard 9 to 5, the standard 40-hour work week. I'm now feeling comfortable enough accepting the consequence or the risk of that, where before I just wasn't. I was too scared of it. So now what am I chasing? Probably, if I had to pick one thing, it would just be independence. Just a little bit more solidarity, knowing that I'm self-sustaining. I don't have to rely on anybody.
Yeah.
I think I know that's what I need for myself.
To bring yourself the most happiness.
Yeah. To know that I can just be self-sustaining in any aspect. I don't need to rely on anybody. Like right now, even saying that, like, I'm relying on you. You're helping provide me with living space, right? Like, I want to be able to be self-sustaining in any and every aspect.
Right. And there's so many levels to that too.
Right.
Like as we get older, like, you hope that you break through more and more of them. Cause it's like, I look at that all the time. Like, okay, what am I relying on still? And I'm still, I feel like I'm pretty fucking free, but because I love freedom and I've tried my best to create as free of a life as possible. But now I'm just looking at like, how can I get even more free? How can I get less reliant on even like the government, stuff like that. So,
yeah, I think you and I are looking at it very similarly.
Yeah.
You're using the word freedom. I'm using, independence. I think
same thing.
So yeah, we're talking about the same thing.
Same thing. So now you're doing, so you got LFG, Let's Fucking Go, your clothing brand that's cool as shit.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I'm trying to push that.
You're building that. It's going to take time, as does any apparel company.
For sure.
But your most recent venture.
Yeah, most recent venture, opened a barbershop. That just opened, what's today, Tuesday? Today, Tuesday?
Yeah,
it opened yesterday.
Tuesday. Oh, cool.
So I'm getting lost in days anymore. Any day's a work day at this point, right? But that's life, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, the barbershop officially opened yesterday. I finally got the sign that I built mounted on there. Obviously a metal sign. Got to throw as much metal shit into the shop as much as possible.
Badass metal desk. You got like the toolboxes that the barbers use. It's a fucking.
It's a shop. Man.
It's a shop for men to go get their hair cut. Yeah. It's cool as shit.
Yeah, just trying to create a different feel, not a cookie cutter like sports clips or whatever the fuck you want to call it, great clips, any of those bullshit places. I want somewhere where men can go and have a good time. So,
yeah, cool.
For sure.
I love that. Iron Shears. So you're on Instagram, Iron Shears, and then your personal, what's your personal handle?
My personal's PZ Fab. That's where all my metal work and everything gets shown.
Yeah, a lot of cool welding shit on there.
Yeah, all my metal stuff. Because I also have that business, PZ Fabrications. I need to focus a little bit more energy and put more energy back into that. It's just doing metal work. You can't really do it on your own. And again, trying to focus on the self-sustaining aspect of it. I can't do that doing a lot of metal work. It's just too heavy. Let's be real. You gotta have someone to help you move shit around when it comes to steel work. So I've kind of veered away from that a little bit, but I will make, that's never going to go anywhere for me. I will always do metal work. That's my passion. I love it.
What's really cool, and something that I've realized recently is when you get to a point where you have a skill, for example, like for you, it's welding, and you have obviously relied on other people, but I think you now know that you can take risks in other areas of your life because you have a skill that can always pay your bills.
Absolutely.
To me, that's fucking huge. And
yes, absolutely.
That would be my advice to anybody that like wants to start, if you want to start your own business, or if you want to have more freedom, first get good at something that you can pick up at any point and pay the bills. Like for me, that's trucks, right? Like I know, even let's say my dealership went down tomorrow, I just start another one and I just start selling trucks. I know how to do that. So for me, it's like, okay, this is something I know can create a good life. Now the rest of the shit I'm going to do, I'm going to take some fucking risks. Mm-hmm. I'm going to really try and build outside of that. I'm going to try and put aside any fear because I know I have this staple. I know I can do this, and that's never going away. And for you, that's metal work.
Yeah, but I never had that mindset. Getting around you and your brother and your family, and that different social circle, that's what I needed to learn. That's what I needed to see, right? Like you have your bread and butter. Don't just settle with your bread and butter skill. Like if there's other things you want to do and chase and progress, do those things because you've always got your bread and butter.
Right.
That's never going to go anywhere. So don't be so fearful of taking a risk.
Yeah. So
I'm super thankful for that from you, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been great to have you around too. Because like you have a really good mindset too, which is super surprising coming out of your childhood and the way you grew up. And
dude, I absolutely should have went to prison. 100%. I had every reason to follow that path, and I had every opportunity to.
But it obviously shows how important it is to have the right people around you, and you've put effort actually into making sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people that help you change your mindset. And kind of now your life's only going to get better and better because it seems like you now made that shift. And I love to see when people make that shift from survival mode to abundance, which is really it's all a mindset. It really has nothing to do with what you have or what you're doing. It's all about being able to say, okay, I can do this and I'm good, and I no longer have to be scared. I no longer have to live like I'm surviving, right? Because I know I have something that will always pay my bills. Now I can go out and do other stuff that's going to create real freedom for me.
You're absolutely right.
And so that's fucking awesome, man. It's going to be really fun to watch you with all these ventures, all this shit that you're doing. I think it's fucking cool as shit.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna keep pushing you to push yourself on social media, because I think you have a really cool fucking story. You're a super fucking interesting person. You look interesting because you're covered in tattoos and you have tattoos on your face. And
good old face tats.
Yeah, dude. So
it's been great. People like you are scary, dude. You know what I mean? Like, because you can come from shit and then make it out on the other side, and it's like, okay, well, nobody's stopping you now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So like.
Yeah, so you see people like you, like, it may take people that go through traumas and shit a little bit longer sometimes than that person would like, but as soon as they make that switch, it's fucking rocket.
There's nothing holding you down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. That's awesome, and I hope that it keeps. Cool. I hope it keeps that trend for sure.
Yeah, it will.
But
we had that conversation already. It's like people like get worried about the future, and it's like, look at like the past year. What have you done over the past year? Is anything going to change, or are you only going to get better from here? And I know your personality. You're only going to get better from here. I'm only going to get better from here. T-Car's only going to get better from here. So we have nothing to fucking be scared of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Pace, it's great having you on the podcast. It's
I appreciate it, man.
Fucking crazy story. We'll probably have Pace on here a couple more times too.
Dude, I'd love it. I'll share whatever I can, like it's just different. And I've told a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot of people, whenever people ask me my story and I tell it, I don't know that everybody believes it, because it's a little far-fetched, for such a young fucking
Well, you're
kid.
in Kaysville, Utah now.
Yeah. And I mean, you're absolutely right. And I mean, just Utah in general, for someone to be like, you're from Utah and you were smoking cigarettes at 10 years old. Yeah. Like daily. Yeah. I was stealing cartons at a time. Like we would line our waistband with cartons when they still had them out, when you could access them at Fred Meyer. We'd go in with oversized pants and a big ass fucking coat, line our waistband with cartons of cigarettes, tighten our belt up, put our jacket down, and walk out the front door. Like,
that's crazy.
10 years old. Like if we didn't, I don't know.
How many cigarettes were you smoking?
The full packs a day, bro.
Really?
I was a full pack a day smoker at 10 years old. I'm not fucking kidding you. Going home to a dad that doesn't smoke. Yeah. Passed out on the couch, fucking drunk off his ass.
That's crazy, man.
Crazy.
It's madness.
Well, cool. Yeah, go follow Pace on Instagram.
Thank you, guys.
He's doing some cool shit, so he's definitely a fun follow for people, especially that are following me. Like, we'll love to follow you too. So you're doing your own shit now and super motivational. And so, yeah, appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come again. So let me know for sure.
Awesome. Thanks,
cool.
Pace.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.